tutorial. This session is on do not have any other gods, lies about power. What I hope to do is give you an overview, understand the sections, give you some background information, and help you to present. I'm not going to go through every source, so please either read that before or after. And there's a lot of material. Choose either before what you want to discuss, or at least know what the sections are that you could give that option to your class. Let's get an overview over here. So we start on page 2. We jump straight into the literal understanding. What does this Diber mean? Then on page 4, what's underlying idolatry? Where did it come from? We have the Rambam over here, the history of idolatry. Then we get into on page 6 over here, how do we relate to other powers and authorities, including our own? Then on page 7, of course, it's the money god. Page 8 is the idolatry of power and the power of idolatry. And on page 9 and 10, we're going to how do we use our own powers aligned with the recognition that Hashem is the ultimate power and authority. So let's go over that a little bit in detail. Okay, the Peshat, the literal understanding. This is the idea that monotheism is a concept that there's only one God who is the creator and ultimate power and highest authority over the world. And what idolatry really is the misappropriation of power and authority. It falsely attributes superior and inexpressible powers to anything besides where it should be God. Here's the Diber, as we said, it's a long Diber. Do not have any other gods. Do not make them. Do not prostrate yourself for them. It's very interesting. The Christians do not count the 10 Commandments like the Jews. They leave out, I'm the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt as the first one. So they use, do not have any other gods as the first one. And then they go into the second one, do not bow down to them. For us, it's a Diber, it's one Diber, it's the second one. It has all these components. Of course, the greatest, or the worst, I should say, idolatry of all time was the golden calf. And just love this source on the next page where the Nachmanides Ramban turns around and says, you don't really think that they thought, these people thought a calf took them out of Egypt, but it's the representation. And that's the whole issue with the idol. It's not about the idol, it's about what the idol represents. So then we have over here how, what does it mean that God visits the iniquity of the fathers upon the children? And this beautiful swana dealing with this issue of a jealous God. So there's a lot just in understanding the simple literal understanding of the debate. Then we go into the underlying principle, and there's this beautiful Rambam over here. It's lengthy, but it really goes through how God is the ultimate power and highest authority, but that doesn't mean there aren't other powers and authority in this world. And the mistake was that people started to honor what they viewed as these other powers and authorities, and then forgot about God. And that's really how idolatry came about. In this section over here on page 6, we get into the problem of even aggrandizing ourselves, right? And that's what Moses tells the people, you're going to come into the land and you're going to build stately houses and dwell in them. You would have made it, right? He's done well for himself. What does that mean? My strength and my might of my hand has accumulated this wealth for me. But remember, it's the Lord your God who gives you the strength to make wealth in order to establish his covenant. Interesting, that it goes back to the covenant. And of course, part of it is, well, how come it doesn't happen for everyone, right? The race is not won by the swift, nor the battle by the valiant, etc. And Rav Yisrael Salanta, who, by the way, was the founder of the Musar movement, has such a beautiful insight into human nature that people, when it comes to things that we can't prove, when it's a matter of opinion, be it politics, sports, art, people say, I am the authority. I am the one who can see, to me has been revealed hidden insight. And how much, just the amount that people speak about these things with an air of authority when maybe they shouldn't have. This money God issue, love this Voltaire, right? Don't think that money does everything, or you're going to end up doing everything for money. And of course, the question at the end of the day is money is powerful. Money empowers. How can we have a healthy, correct relationship with it that doesn't start to violate on idolatry? The next section over here on page 8 is the 5th section. And this, of course, deals with the idolatry of ideology and abuse of power, or the power of idolatry. And the Rambam again over here saying how the leadership of idolatry could often use it to their own advantage. And of course, the question is, well, can we do that in Judaism as well? Have there been Jewish leaders who, because they are respected as the authority of the religion, then start to abuse it? And of course, there are examples of that, and that's one of the challenges of being a religious leader. And then this last section here, section on page 9, is using our own powers in a way that is aligned with the recognition of Hashem as the ultimate power. So yes, we have powers, and how do we use them? How do we keep those balanced, right? And of course, the source over here, it's interesting, is the Alexandrians, and it seems to be that there were these philosophers, classic Greek philosophers, that had these discussions with the rabbis, and they're recorded in the Talmud, and they're fascinating. And the beautiful one over here to discuss about finding that balance. Over here, the Chovot HaLevavot saying, yes, recognize God as the ultimate power and authority, but what about free will? What about when it comes to moral decisions, those things which are left to us? So he says, in this beautiful phrase, that would be ta'ut v'siklut. That would be a mistake and actually stupidity and foolishness to think, well, if God's in control, it doesn't really matter what I do. No, God has made it in a way that, of course, we have to take responsibility where we can. Maybe that's a whole lot of a lot of the issue is, where can we? Where is that place? And of course, with great power comes great responsibility. So, finding this balance between power and the ultimate power, seeing ourselves aligned within the context of this greater power, and of course, integration over here on page 10 about how does this Diber, what does it mean to you as a core value? And I think in terms of the Seseret course, and we're finding our core values, of all of them, this one is the one which is have a value system, right? Make sure you don't go against your own value system. It's in terms of identity, that's very much a question. When a person goes against the core value, there's a term, a sense of not being true to self. And of course, we end off with everyday activities, what we could do, some supplemental materials over here, who's who in the text, and of course, personal reflections. Thank you for listening.